the Golden Crab Cast.
Oh my god. Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
This is Golden Craft Cast.
And it's fall, y'all.
We're getting close to fall. It's gonna be a spooky season now. You know what that means?
Oktoberfest, baby.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
But not yet. This
Not
is
yet?
the cusp of the eve
Yeah.
of the fall season.
Yep.
So we still got a little bit of that summer vibe in there. We got some eclectic beers today. We got an eclectic show. This is Mansky Fresh, by the way. Your host
This is Manny.
for Golden Craft Cast, and Sergio here.
Hi.
You know, doing the thing in the mushroom land from the Bay Area down to Long Beach, baby. We're doing it.
Yeah.
It's happening.
It's all cool over here while your ass is melting. Look at that.
It's actually not that bad right now. It's starting to get windy.
cool.
It's starting to get the leaves are starting to fall. You know, it's turning that season, and you see all the government workers out there raking them leaves on all those big ass properties. So there's definitely something going on.
Yep.
I gotta
It's that
apologize
time.
for my haircut. It's a little weird and split in the middle. I'm not used to this kind of artifact.
It looks
I look
nice.
like a very nerdy nerd, but I guess deep down
You
inside,
look
that's
like
what
a
I
noble
am.
man.
That's why we started this podcast, you know, because we're nerds about the stuff that we talk about. And our pillars: TV, movies, video games, entertainment, you know, what else? Technology.
Technology.
And of course,
Beers.
what do we got today, Serge?
So today, we're going into the preview of the seasonal beers that are coming up. And I thought it goes well into our topic that we're going to talk about today. And if you get it, you get it. It's a now with his eyes crossed out.
The
And
night
no,
out.
it doesn't come out like that. I actually did that out of respect for the native
Respect.
folk. And this is actually called Night Owl. It is the pumpkin ale, you know, the seasonal beer. Comes straight out of Elysian.
Real pumpkin-y.
And they said it was a little bit of a orangey taste, a little bit of hint of like pumpkin. There's actually got like a recommendation in Total Wine where I picked it up. So
I drank
I
that
mean,
before. You
I
don't
get
remember
that.
drinking that?
nope.
When back in the garage days, when it was live and popping,
The garage
And-
band days.
and Moon had the bar in the garage. This is like circa 2019, 2020, I think.
Right, I'm gonna guess
And,
2019.
I literally went and I bought. Everyone was like, "Oh man, you never buy beer, blah blah blah." And I went out and I got like a big old pack of Modelo, and I got I got the whole seasonal pack of that one, and that was one of the ones that came in it. So I've actually
You
tried
sure?
that one before, and we did like a whole night with like seasonal, like it's a stout or something, right?
It's not a stout,
it's
it's a
very
pumpkin
sweet.
ale.
Pumpkin ale. So it's like, yeah, but it's very dark, right? Oh wow, yeah. It's caramel.
It's caramel.
pretty
I
good.
wouldn't say it's dark. It's
Okay.
it's a light-ish. It's like medium bodied, I would say. What would you
That's
get?
pretty sweet. So you chose that because of the, you know, the theme of today and how they blocked out the eyes of the
Yep.
owls. Oh, did we even say what we're going to talk about today?
Hey, they could read the description. I mean, the title of the episode, so
Yeah, that's
they know
true.
what
Wait,
we're
before you know, this is the context of today is we're talking about Reservation Dogs seasons 1 and 2, kind of focusing more on season 2,
yeah,
but
we're gonna be
definitely
talking about too.
on the series as a whole. It's 10 episodes long. It's not that bad.
Mhm.
And as far as length, but you know, I wish they kind of did a little more episodes.
Yeah, well,
'Cause they
I
have
mean,
a lot
last
to
season
tell.
was like 8, and then this season got like 2 more episodes, so it's like, oh, that's fair. I
Which
would
is
say.
like the owl thing is what they introduced in the first season,
Yeah.
right?
That's
When
that's
they
where
met
it first
people.
began. Well, a lot of things that you see in season 2 actually began like season 1, so it's like an ongoing joke, or you know. Gag.
Well, going on off the fucking thing, this is the beer that I got. It's
What does that
called
say?
Extended Getaway.
Lift it up a little bit. There you go. Yeah. Getaway.
It's like a little bungalow out in the sea, you know.
Yeah.
It's an IPA, but I feel like it really fit the description for the podcast because, you know, that's really what they're trying to do this whole season. And
yeah, so season 1.
All of the seasons, you know.
Yeah.
So I felt like when I looked at them, I was like, man, I can't, because I was trying to originally find that beer, the Night Owl, and I couldn't find it. So I was like, what really for me fits the theme? And this one for me fit the theme because if you've seen, you know, Reservation Dogs, you know where they end up at.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like an ode to that. And
I got another beer coming that describes that too. So.
Oh, you got 2 of them, huh?
Yeah, I got 2.
Look at this guy over here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mix and match. They give you the options to mix and match.
That's what we do. All right, let's crack them.
I already cracked mine, so you know I'm ready to sip.
All right, cheers to the craft.
Craft day.
Did you get that tink? Tink. You gotta get that tink.
I got the scent of pumpkin. I also got the taste of pumpkin. Very caramelized or cinnamony. It's like it's those hints of that season. I don't taste like orange peel or anything. It's mostly like pumpkin
spice.
Yeah, got that spice.
It's a pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah, actually.
So the girls are gonna love it.
Yeah.
It's a pumpkin spice latte beer. Oh, you know what, dude? Imagine mixing that beer with the Mother Earth's Cali Creamin'. What would happen?
Spicy, citrusy. I don't know. That could be interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
It has all of the flavor of like a cappuccino.
I'll try it, but I don't know if it's gonna be good.
I think maybe we should have to do that in October.
I'll lower my
the
expectations.
the witches episode, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
witches.
talk about some witches.
I thought we were gonna
And
talk
the
about
brews
vampires.
and the different combinations. You know, right now I'm getting I mean, it's an IPA.
What are you tasting?
It's a little. It's not completely cold. It's not room temp, but it's definitely got that IPA punch. I'm getting I just took a big swig right now and just felt it go right through down to the bottom of my stomach. Feeling the acidity. There's a lot of acidity in this beer. 7.0.
I just feel jolly.
I mean, I love the artwork though. Jesus, look at that.
Yeah.
It's really nice, you know?
It's great.
It's really cool. I really like it. It makes me feel like I should be chilling right there and just like sipping this, you know?
Yeah.
Like if we were just like in that bamboo patio, just chilling and sipping on this, which will probably be the future of this podcast once we get VR included. That would be really sick.
Yeah, if we could get VR live, which we will. Facebook,
you know,
they better will.
I'll do a sip on this later.
Yeah.
I think I might have done it before, but who knows?
All
right, let's get into it, man. Reservation Dogs. What do you got?
Reservation Dogs.
Can you give me a soundbite?
Are you crazy horse or sitting?
No. I'm not one of those awesome guys. No, I'm more of your unknown warrior. Yeah. You know my name? William Knifeman.
Hold on. Let me play that again.
This is for all the young warriors.
It's all the one warriors.
All the young warriors
Are you
out there.
crazy horse or sitting?
No. I'm not one of those awesome guys. No, I'm more of your.
Yeah, I know. I got
More
the
of
war
your
cry, but
unknown warrior.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on.
You know my name?
It's just like pause halfway.
William Knifeman.
Like, no, I'm done with you.
I've been seeing this.
Anywho,
So
he does a whole cry about that.
you want to give us kind of like a
Yeah.
preface, a lay down of the first season kind of leading up to the second?
Yeah,
do you
so
think?
basically the whole premise of the show is focuses on 4 teenagers that live in a reservation. Reservations, if you guys don't know, is like it's basically like a own land where like most of the Native Americans or you know a certain like nation or tribe pretty much like reside, and It's pretty tough because a lot of people don't really aren't aware about that, and reservations are pretty much like segregated from the rest of the world, and it's like its own little town and stuff. And
It's like its own hood.
yeah, and it's pretty much like the hood.
It's like a secluded hood.
And basically, these kids they pretty much are tired about living there. Not just that, but also because they just lost someone close to them. So that memory of him is still embedded with them. So part of their journey is to find a way to get enough money to move out to California and to move out of the reservation and just pretty much explore the world, or just be out of their comfort zone and whatnot.
I really think that one of the main points about them wanting to move and get out of their current reservation is the fact that their friend Daniel really wanted to go to California. So
Yeah.
the series is really driven on one of their best friends, Daniel, who dies by suicide. And basically it hurts these kids that are really in the ripening age, middle school going into high school. They're really just trying to
They're all in high school.
starting to live their lives and starting to figure out who they are, and this tragedy kind of confronts them. And it's kind of how this group of kids that are the Reservation Dogs, dubbed the Reservation Dogs, are able to deal and kind of cope with this in their own way by and to me it's like they do bad shit in the beginning,
Yeah.
they go and they steal a hot Cheetos truck, and they go and they they're going and they're doing stuff that they know they shouldn't be doing, but it's almost like it's distracting them from the real shit that's going on.
Yeah.
And we get all of the distractions in season 1. They're just all over the place kind of with what's going on. And I feel like merging over into season 2, it's like you kind of get this idea that they're kind of splitting apart and growing apart.
Yeah.
And one of the characters is really trying to just pull them together and hone down on her friendship, and basically pulling everything she can, all the tricks out of her book, as being, in a reservation, getting advice from family members, getting advice from other people, and just moving forward with what she thinks is the best move. And it's powerful because it really shows, the power of friendship, one, but it also shows, this whole movement of tragedy and kind of the growth from it. So I think that first season was really just trying to capture, the story background and what was really going on in between all the families.
Yeah.
Because on a reservation, everyone's really tight knit, from what I understand from watching this and listening to different, people talk on NPR about the show and stuff like that. It's just there's something else, that there's a type of culture there that doesn't exist out in LA or out in Riverside or out in, Vegas or out in, anywhere, the Bay, Long Beach, whatever. Back in the day, this was all Native American territory. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, and they don't acknowledge. They don't think to acknowledge it because we're so stuck in this modern world. But I feel like looking at these kids and the modern day of what they're living through, from the repercussions of that, really is kind of challenging the status quo of entertainment.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, this show, really thanks to this show, people are actually being educated on how this culture really is in the modern day, because a lot of people didn't know about the reservations. Oh, what is that? And reservation has been existing since since fucking this country was born. There was the government would make new deals with them, with different native nations, and then they got fucked over, and then they said, okay, you want your piece of land? All right, here's your piece of land. And just they got what they wanted, but not in a way that they felt pretty reserved or at peace. It was just
it wasn't in a way that was respectful to them and the culture that they are used to. It's this is how you usually do business. All right, here's a contract.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
was
Like,
it was usually something that's like, okay, well, you're getting what you want, but you're asking for too much, you know. And it's just like, okay, we're gonna do it our way, and I mean that's just how it is. Like they got the shit end of the stick, and that's how it is in like in history. Like a lot of like groups or organizations, or you know, everyone got pretty much like a pretty good deal out of it, you know. But I mean,
to say the least.
I've listened to like interviews with like with the creator, the co-creator, and he's talked about a lot about how he grew up, and you know he grew up with like watching a bunch of movies, and he always wanted to be a filmmaker, and most of his life he's done like a documentary. In some ways, yeah, but in some ways he's pretty much like it gives him like what do you call it? It gives him exposure. It gives him time to like, you know, expose that like culture that a lot of people don't know. Like, I mean, how did like the only time you ever watched like Native Americans were, you know, you would think like Westerns, you know, and he does talk about like how Westerns were portrayed, like how Native Americans were portrayed in Westerns. And he pretty much has to explain that to his kids, like, oh, like, you know, this is like not a good way or a good light portraying like our people. And, you know, for the rest of like the American culture, that's how everyone sees us, you know, or, you know, sees us in like that certain light. Like, oh, yeah, they used to be masters of this land, but then, you know, this is America. So, you know, what are you going to do about it? And, you know, it's cool to actually see this exposure too, because they actually rely on other cultures. Like, you know, like you get to see them, like, you know, they like rap, they like the stuff that we like, you know, and they
like
use
all
that.
the cultures that like mainstream culture, they understand it, they know what it's about,
and
but they
you know,
still within that have their own culture.
And you know, they're throwing out like pop references left and right, like throughout this whole show. Even like the titles, Reservation Dogs, but it's, you know, it's a play on Reservoir Dogs, which is a movie by Tarantino. And of course, like I said, the creator actually is he was a film major, and growing up with like watching a bunch of these movies, and then, you know, he kind of put himself into these kids, having to like having to have like a part of them in each kid, and making them like, oh, like, you know, this is sort of like how my friends are. You know, we were like make references for movies and appreciate like the culture that's like around us, but also like, you know, our own culture being the centerfold of it all, you know, because they do have a lot of like superstitions that they have, like with the thing with the owl. They have a strong connection with death and spirituality. And you get to see like a lot of like,
well, I mean, like, let's kind of go on that a little bit, because they do show a couple different things. So they talk about like you said, what did you say right now?
What?
Before I said the tall man.
The tall man.
Well, like the conspiracies that they have.
Oh, with the whole owl thing? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, like the owl thing. Yeah. And then they have like the tall man. And then if you look at the map at the end of season 2, really like in detail, you could see different parts where they think things are, you know. So like one of them that I saw was like spirit walkers, and then I saw like a skinwalker, like they change shape and shit like that, which is one of the things that we talked about.
Yeah, and you see the different like nations and all that
on one of our past podcasts.
Yeah.
What number was that one?
That was, I don't remember, but it's conspiracy. Oh, more conspiracy theories.
Yeah, conspiracy part 2.
Part 2 or something.
That's right.
Yeah, which is, you know, I'll call back to this, and you know, when I watched that episode, I was just like, oh my god, see. A big old coincidence. It's a callback. It's a big old coincidence, and they
no,
made
but I
fun
mean,
of that.
like it really is something that a lot of people do believe in.
Yeah.
Whether or not the culture, you know, is native or not, I feel like even if you're not native, you really do kind of understand or try to feel for why would they make all these stories up about, a being that doesn't exist? Like, why would they make all this shit up?
Yeah.
That's what I always come back to is like when Bigfoot, any legend, any conspiracy, like why is there so much hype? Why are so many people talking about it
It's gotta be
if it's
a
not
reason.
true?
Yeah.
It's just like a big hill that everyone lies up on or what?
Yeah. Well,
don't
I
know,
think, yeah,
but-
I think like also like an owl is a big meaning in like Mexican culture as well. And
What is that?
it's, I don't know, but I saw that movie, Mi Familia, and there's a whole scene where like the mom is trying to cross the border with like her youngest son, and then there was like an owl like dead at night just before they went on the border, and that usually means it's like a bad omen. But luckily for them, they've actually made it across the border and lived to see another day. But later when they established themselves in America, the younger son gets into like into a bad lifestyle. Like he's pretty much like a thug, and he has a tragic ending. Not to spoil that movie, and then that movie actually refers back to the owl, so sort of like being like a little callback, like, oh, you cheated death, but that's just gonna come back eventually. That's how I remember it, really. But also just going back to the map, did you notice that one of the tribes that they had, if you look down on Mexico, they had Aztecs in there. So it's like, oh, like they're acknowledging
The
like the
Mexicans-
indigenous people down there too. So it's like one big land, one big continent. It's like all together, part of that map too. So it's like, an acknowledgement on that.
I think it's really cool that they decided to include that as well. I mean, they included everybody from even up to Canada, I think, in that map.
Yeah.
So
part
I
of
think
Canada, they do have that.
That kind of is staking claim on what this series is trying to provide. It is also a very great look into Native culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really cool because, you're kind of getting a sneak peek into what your life could have been if you were born in there or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
they're putting like, we're being filled in their shoes, pretty much,
And I mean, you're kind of getting put in that spot where you're just barely figuring yourself out, figuring what you want to do. But I mean, overhead, there's kind of this heavy cloud of their friendship and kind of what happened to them. And I feel that really like, it's weird because it like pulls this series along like a tugboat, like it really just like, it doesn't want to do it, but it does kind of move the series forward in a way.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because, in a lot of other series, it's kind of made, the act of suicide is made more of like a thing to scare people. It's made as like a quality of the show that will kind of show, like, oh, this person was addicted to something and they did this, or like kind of show like a more like, I want to say hostile approach to what was actually going on. And I feel like this series does a very good job of showing, what it can stem from, and kind of like the psychological motives that can turn somebody to die by suicide. And it's sad. It's a mental illness, and it's like something that we've learned a lot about in between COVID and now. And
That's true.
I mean, to get real, dude, like we've had it before in our family, like in our past, with our dad's family and stuff like that. And they kind of talk about it hush hush and kind of just
it's a little
don't
heavy
really
for
mention it too much.
a lot of
It's heavy
people.
for them, but it's really interesting that a series can confront that topic with the light that's wanting to pursue you know, the enjoyment of life, of what that person was missing, of kind of like they're trying to fill in the gap for themselves, but they understand that the pain was there. Like it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
very heavy and very emotional in a sense. I mean, it's also an issue among like Native American folks that live in the res, because you know suicide is a thing out there in those communities, and as well as like I don't want to be stereotypical, but also alcoholism, and among other issues too. That is just like, you know, like, yeah, you don't want to hear about that stuff, but I mean, if you want to bring it into like a way that's like entertaining, not that the subject matter is entertaining, but just like how the people are, how they behave, is like very comedic. But I think that's like the best way to bring it, to make it like not just full drama, but also like a comedy drama in itself. And you know, it's educating
Comedy
you.
dramas are hard.
Yeah, comedy dramas are pretty hard because it's like a lot to balance out, you know, because it's like, okay, well, at times we have to be serious, but at times it's like, you know, you have to be funny, but not make it too funny that's like, you know, brushing away what's like really the heart of it all, or, you know, what the subject matter is about. And yeah, it's a hard thing to like struggle, and you know, we have to say bravo to like the co-creator and the whole team that actually like pulled this series off us this far, because I've been hearing nothing but like positive like feedback from this show. People are actually glad to see like, you know, Native Americans in this light, you know, in a way that's just like it's never been seen before, you know.
Yeah. I mean, kind of rolling off that, should we kind of go into season 2, like kind of going into like the whole gist of where we left off?
Yeah, so pretty much after season 1, they've their plan was to like all go to California, but it falls through because it just seems like Laura, who's like the character that actually like, she's actually the one that witnesses like Daniel's body after he committed suicide, and it takes a toll on her. I don't want to say the hardest, but just like it's difficult for her, that that's her main motivation. And it kind of seems like the rest of the group kind of doesn't care if they want to go out to California, so she just does it and actually makes a unlikely ally with like another rival gang to the Reservation Dogs. And her and the other girl actually go out to California, and then that's where it like cuts off like season 1. And season 2, it opens up with them having to still go on that journey, but they got sidetracked. You know, they encounter a creepy dude, and their cars break their car breaks down or some shit, and then
They have the res car.
Yeah, and then they had their money was actually that they were carrying. Yeah, the money that they carried was carried off with that creepy guy that they got off, and then they have no choice but to like go back to the res somehow, one way or another. So it's like, oh damn, that sucks, you know.
Well, they basically, Jackie was the one that kind of took the initiative on the whole experience, I feel, and she was kind of like leading Laura into danger, but kind of telling her like, dude, this is what we got to do to like fucking survive.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it seems like she was just more of like, I would say like a bad influence in some way, but also it's just like she was going on her own agenda.
Exactly. It's like they were both, but if you think about it, they were both kind of going on their own agenda, because when they left, they kind of just, Laura knew she was leaving Bear behind.
Yeah.
Jackie knew she was leaving her crew behind too.
Yeah, but she was fine with that. She's like, it's cool.
She's like a lone wolf character.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, which is really different from Alora's character, where Alora, I feel, is trying to live up to what Jackie's expectations were, trying to do that thing of like being a lone wolf, trying to go out like we're gonna fucking do this ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, trying to do that, and I mean, fate wasn't on their side, basically.
Yeah, well, it was mainly because of like the supposed curse. Well, I guess it was a curse that was placed upon like Jackie, and all that shit that happens to them is like because of like what the Reservoir Dogs did to her in that sense. And then the first episode is them having to like reverse that curse back, because like I said in the show, like they said, oh, if you try to place a curse on someone, eventually it's gonna come back at you. So they're doing their best to like actually, you know, lift up the curse by going to like some elders, or you know, the people that they best know. Like they go to Uncle Brownie, who's like, you know, he's the uncle's uncle, basically. Like this guy's just like so full of shit, but also he just like knows the ways of like of the people, really, and he knows about curses and all that. And he's the one that told him like, oh, don't look at the owls in the eye, basically. And he literally has like an owl like placed outside his door. And while we see
This
like
is
the
the first
thing
season,
right there, yeah, that was the first season. And yeah, basically he's basically back in the second season to help the kids out to lift this curse. And it's funny because, like, you know, they just like wash it down the river, and then they start singing the Tom Petty song. I wish I could have had that song.
In America too.
And I like how they made a whole callback, like, because it was only like Cheese and Willie Jack that were actually trying to like help lift up the curse, and they witnessed that. And you know, you see one of the elders just sing that, like, oh yeah, you just have to sing a song, whatever it is, and just like wash that thing away.
That was Bucky and Uncle.
Yeah, his name was Bucky. I like the whole conversation that they had while they were praying. They were praying to the God, and then they're just like, oh,
Whoa, hold on. We're skipping around. Let's
make this a lesson, and not to be ungrateful to the ones that, you know, screwed you over and had sex with your wives. And then they were just like going back and forth, not indirectly, like having an argument between each other.
They were having an argument within a prayer.
Yeah, well, it was very indirect, and then they were just going back and forth, and just like having to call them out on like different shit, or going on that back and forth and stuff. So it's just like very passive aggressive, indirect conversations that they have, and it was just like. Like that right there is comedy.
Uncle Brownie.
Yeah, it's Uncle Brownie.
Bucky. And they even went in and did the satin. They did the Super 8 shot of them fighting back in the day. You remember that one?
Yeah.
They did an old school shot of like. I was like, oh, dude, that's cool. They tried to take it back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, they tried to make it retro just for the sake of it.
And I love that, dude, because they went that length to kind of just show like there's beef between these guys. Mm-hmm. And it was like literally just a split second of time, within a minute of time, they were able to go back to the 70s and kind of show you what was going on between these two characters. It was brilliant, dude. It was really smart to be able to like transfer you to that era with some fucking hair dye and a wig, maybe. And like these dudes just fighting back in the day.
They kind of did that in the first season, but it wasn't like in the format that you see it on this one. Because it was just like, as it was like shot in modern day, where like they said uncle, like, because basically I think it's a Laura's uncle that basically says like, oh, like Uncle Brownie, he took down like 20 people in a bar, and he even took out a cop, and it's just like him with a wig, and he's just like it was all stupid, like him punching like left and right.
Though. That shit was like, he was like a big lug just fucking huffing around, but he was whooping some fucking ass.
Yeah, it looked cool, but you know, like deep inside he was full of shit. Like that's not how it went down. He's just like him bragging about that fucking fight. It's just like
he could have, but like that's what I feel is touching upon maybe like that culture of the reservation.
The
Like,
myth.
oh yeah, I took down 20. I heard he took down 15. Like, no, I took down 20. You know, kind of like upping the ante. But what uncle doesn't do that, bro? You know what
You're
I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah.
But like, who knows? Uncle Brownie could have done it because that's the way he is.
Yeah.
You know, he's just unexpected and kind of didn't want the kids at the doorstep, but at the end of the day was willing to help to get a little something out of it for himself.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. I think they offered him like Sonic or something, like free Sonics.
I kind of want to go back. One of the big character changes in this season is Bear.
Yeah.
Bear's character in this season really transforms. He's looking upon, you know, why could have Elia left me? Like, why am I here? Like, I'm not doing shit. Like, kind of feeling like a shitbag. Well, not feeling like a shitbag, but kind of questioning, like, why he was the one that was left behind and try to figure out that question. And he starts looking deeper into himself, and he sees that with his spirit guide, right?
Yeah.
So the spirit guide
Pops
says,
out of nowhere.
"Oh, as soon as you grow hair on your body parts, you know you're entitled to a role in the community. Like you start doing something.
He
to
needs to be
improve the
his own
community."
man. Basically, is what he's trying to tell him and stuff. And he also, I got a clip for that too, where basically the spirit just comes out of nowhere and he comes out of like a porta potty, and he's basically telling him how. How like yeah, I just want to get past like Daniel's death. And then he's like, oh no, you haven't even got through it. And then he's all like he's really telling him like, you know, like you have to
He's
deal with this.
telling him what he's going through for the next season.
Yeah. Oh, this is what he says.
Daniel's dad's up there.
This is the roofing
I didn't
episode.
expect that.
Yeah, your friend Daniel. I'm gonna talk to you.
Maybe I should just get over it, you know? Maybe it's about time.
Get over it? Shit. You haven't even gone through it, Chabon.
What do you mean?
What I'm trying to say is that we cry for those that we lost. Like that. You know, we mourn them. We cut our hair. We cut ourselves. We go through all the feels. We take our relatives, their bodies, and make clothing out of it. This is my auntie right here. We airbrush their faces on our t-shirts. Get their names tattooed on our bodies in Old English script. We tear ourselves to pieces so that we can build ourselves new on the other side.
The Five Kings.
Go
baby.
through all of it so that they know that they can go. That we'll miss them, but that we'll be okay without them.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
Wise words.
It's beautiful. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like it's dropping knowledge on a new generation in a way that they wouldn't perceive at first, but it really is just speaking to the soul, dog. Speaking to mourning and just the capability of somebody talking to you that's an elder.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, you know? And it comes in different forms. You know what I'm saying? Like this right here was a form of, you know, this imaginary ancestor kind of talking to him. But like in a way, because Bear doesn't have his father there, this is kind of what he imagines his or is seeing. He does say to the other kids, he's seeing the spirit guide there.
Yeah, he does.
So
But
he is
doesn't believe him.
seeing this
Yeah.
person there. Don't get it twisted. Like
Yeah.
if he's willing to tell other people, like his crew, that he's seen some weird shit that's going on, like he's definitely seeing some stuff.
Yeah, I think he's like the first one to actually get that. Because in this season, like they also get like their own spirits. Like with Alora, when she's about to lose her grandmother. As soon as she passes, she literally watches like her grandmother as the spirit. And also with like Willie Jack, she has that spiritual moment where she's visiting her grandmother's niece, whatever the fuck.
I think that whole episode is
she had
really
her whole-
important to talk about because it kind of shows the transition of kind of the death in a native culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
That was really interesting
with the
to see.
Mexican culture, it's like a person can pass away and like they literally get buried within the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's very
You know?
fast.
With native culture, it's like everyone comes by the bedside, they share food together that know her, and they like make this whole prayer, and it's beautiful. It's like that's where Cheese kind of shows this stuff about making a prayer for everyone. They have Cheese do the prayer when that's going down, and that
Very
kind of
funny
like
way.
settles the lore down. And like in a way, it's like you start seeing that, you know, in the end of it, going back, I'm going all over the place, but
It's
in the
okay.
end of it, you
That's
kind
what
of
we're
see
here for.
Cheese saying to Alora, "Hey, I look up to you too. You're my hero too."
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, "Shut up, blah 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 blah." But like she's starting to realize too, like in a way, fuck, Cheese is kind of her hero too, because he's also been through a bunch of shit that she never expected he would go through,
Yeah.
and was but like still his cheerleader at the end of the day
Yeah.
about everything that was going on.
Yeah, it was just how a true friendship is. It's just everyone looking up to each other and, you know, appreciating who they got, really. And I
Even
think
though they
that's
were growing apart.
yeah, that's the lesson that they learn at the end of the season. Is just like they lost one of their own, but they still have each other, you know. And through all the mutual things that happen to them, the one thing that's holding it together is like Daniel. And you know, by the end of the season, they pretty much come to like a revelation, you know, something that's like freeing them from like the pain. Even though it's still gonna be there, they'll always remember like who Daniel was to them and what it means to like, you know, have a friend there by their side, no matter who they are, you know.
I mean, you could close out the season that way, but I really do feel like there's a lot more to talk about.
I wasn't trying to close it. I was just
Let's
like,
crack open another one right now because I'm done with this one. But I got something to talk about, and
damn,
the
you joked
biggest
that shit?
part for me that I didn't see coming from this season, the second season, was the episode with Bear's mom. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna crack one and we'll talk about that right now. Just a sec.
All right.
Tell them where they could find us.
You could find me in my ass. I'm just kidding. You can find us on IG. We usually have the description on the episode details, but you know where to find us. We're at Golden Craft Cast on IG. Golden Craft Run at gmail.com. Sorry. We only have it at Run because that's how we were originally known as. But then we made a podcast form of like the platform we had from previous, and then now, you know, we could change it. We could have a different one, but I think we should just stick to the original, you know, the foundation that make this whole fucking podcast possible. But, you know, we are at episode 97 now. We're like 3 episodes away from being on the 100th. And it took us forever, but, you know, we've been kind of busy left and right on things, you know, because life happens. I wish we could be persistent as much as we can. But, you know, that's how it is. And, you know, I'm excited for the 100th. I don't know what that might look like, but I am looking forward to the other episodes, and especially the 100th one, if everything goes right. Right. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about on Reservation Dogs. There's really funny moments where it's just like not as heavy, but it's just, you know, they know when to have their own fun, when to have their own time. I think that episode, the one with the aunties, and I think it was right after Mabel. It was right after Laura's grandma passes away. They had that episode. And it's funny because, like, from the previous episode, the kids just learned what snag was. Pretty much snag is like, oh, you pretty much pick up someone. You pretty much, like, hook up with someone and pretty much don't call them again.
Snagging.
So they could go snagging. And then the next episode is a bunch of, like, their moms and their aunties wanting to snag someone from like a big convention that's in town.
But you see it from the girl's perspective, and
Yeah.
that's what is important. You see this whole thing go down where it's basically like, look,
The
we're
Indian
Native
Health
girls.
Services.
We go to we go to meets. We go to reservation meets. What,
Yeah.
what was the exact term that they said? It was like a convention for
It's a convention for the Indian Health Service. So basically, they all do work at the hospital. If you think about it, one way or
Yeah.
another. Yeah. So
oh shit, you're right.
yeah,
'Cause that one
that's why
girl is,
Bobby Lee's
like,
there too, because he's
in the
he's a
hospital.
doctor there.
oh shit.
Yeah, and it's funny
Dude,
too.
that's wild. You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's a good observation, actually. They probably do all work in the medical, because that's the only steady income in that area. Like, you know, you saw how packed it was at the hospital where they were at.
Yeah,
They're probably the only one around there. It's like
all of them
it's
just
kinda-
work there, and they just know each other by there, and,
but
they're all
it's
friends
showing-
too.
It's kind of shining a light, but it's shining a light on that kind of environment. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all friends too, because like the first thing you see in that episode is them when they were little kids. You know, and they're doing that dance routine.
Yeah. You know what? That to me was like, dude, that was like what I saw growing up. I felt so old after I saw it. I was like, that was the 90s? What?
That was the 90s.
So it was like those girls were like in the 90s when I was like their age? What?
They were older kids, basically, to us.
They were older. So they
you know,
were in
so
the
they
80s.
were the older kids to
They
us.
were the 80s kids.
Yeah. Because they grew up like in the 80s. They were like
Still millennials.
82s. They're still millennials, just older ones.
Yeah.
They're like tier
But they
1,
went-
we're tier 2.
Like, it was crazy because you kind of see the whole situation with like Bear's mom kind of like going in between, you know, thinking about, you know, what she was going to do and blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, you know, she ends up eating that edible and she doesn't even notice that the guy's waiting for her at the bar,
Yeah.
you know? And it was kind of just like she assumed that he was talking to this other girl that was there.
Yeah.
And she kind of turned in the other direction and just like went like fuck, like blah blah blah, kind of got mad about it and then took it out on her friend in a way, which was kind of scumbaggy, but like they ended up being cool afterwards because she knows like, yeah, I did fucking leave, but you know what, I got my shit together and I'm you know,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
I'm
because like
capable of
they
doing
were,
both, you know?
they were all relating to how hard it is, because basically this was like a weekend to themselves, and you know, like one of the homegirls, she has to take care of Jackie because Jackie is her niece, and then of course like mom's, Bear's mom is there too, and there's like, and then they're just looking at this chick that's like, oh, you don't have any kids, like what the fuck you have to be stressful about, you know, you're single and you know we hardly see you, so it's like. In some ways, it's kind of showing like their true colors on how they feel about one another
exactly.
in that way.
And it's like, obviously to me, it's like what the, like, why would they make the episode about it? But then like when you dig deeper, kind of as a whole, like as the whole, you know, thing comes together, it's like you kind of see, you know, like what possibly could be going on. I don't want to say like Reservation Dogs is a direct representation of native life. Don't get it twisted. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is like the way they kind of spoke about it, the way they kind of went about it, it was just like saying like, oh, like this is kind of what we do. This is like our Vegas trip. This is kind of like our little getaway and like doing our thing, which is dope. Like, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? But like, for me, it was kind of like, we say like a lot on this podcast, sorry. To me, it was kind of just, it was interesting to be able to see a different type of culture that wasn't just, you know, LA culture or, you know, OC culture.
Yeah,
or
you don't want to see that.
You know,
you see
New York culture or Florida culture. It's like all these different types of cultures from the coast, and finally we get to see something just right in the middle of America.
Yeah,
what you would do on your spare time if you got it. One thing I do want to point out is Bear was like talking to his mom and was like, "Oh yeah, mom,
yeah, we're all cool." Yeah,
It was all good.
And it's like
Like,
close
let's
up.
fucking party.
It's all in a close up, and then when it's like, okay, thanks, mom. All right, we can party.
Yeah, and it was like, dude, yeah, fuck yeah, Bear. I was like, yeah, that's what I would be doing, man. That's how.
Yeah.
That's who I was back
I think it
in
was
the
like
day, you know what
relatable
I'm
on
saying?
both sides, his mom's side and then his side too. Because it's just like, as a kid, yeah, you would do that. As a mom, yeah, you kind of want to party too, but you also want to worry about your kid. What the fuck they're doing?
Worrying about the kid is over, like, the partying. It's priority wise.
Yeah.
You know what's up there.
Like, yeah, the priority is like right there. Like, it's just like, it's always right there. It's like, okay, I got to check in before I want to get all crazy because I'll never forgive myself if I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. And yeah, just also on like her side, like again, going into the 90s, like them having to do a routine, a dance routine. Which actually is like it makes a very funny scene later on because they go on the dance floor and then they're just like hallucinating, thinking they're
Look at the
dancing in
mushroom
like
world you're in right now.
they're dancing like in like synchronicity, but in reality
Like
they're just like
Mosto.
dancing to themselves. It's just like
yeah. It's like in the vibe.
yeah, and it was cool. It was cool to see that because it's just like like. Like
It was
they're having a
funny
really good time,
like,
you know.
They're having a good time in their own minds, but like in reality, they're just fucking like boop, 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 boop. You know?
Do you realize that one of them was actually, well, they weren't like, you know, in that reality that they think they're dancing, but in reality, one of them, I forgot who it was. I don't think it was. Anyways, she was like doing the moonwalk, but it was kind of like a little.
Yeah. No, I saw that. Yeah, it was like
you know?
a trot.
And it was just like,
weird.
oh my god, that's funny.
Dude,
this scene.
it was good. It
this
was
scene.
trying to touch on all the 80s moves,
Yeah.
all that shit, kind of like
the
bringing
cultures
it
of
back.
what they grew up with.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like we obviously everybody in that shit like was trying to root for like Bear's mom to get with that dude, you know?
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. That's what they were building the episode on, was like Bear's mom is gonna get some.
Yeah.
Bear's mom is
And
gonna
they did that
find,
whole
like,
thing in
a
the,
real dude.
yeah, and they did that whole thing in the hotel room where they just like what did they did? They like sanctioned their you know.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh shit!
And that was like
They
kind of
fucking
funny.
They vaporized the JJs.
Yeah. They
They
vaporized
basically
that
like
cooch.
they steamed it. They steamed their JJs, bro, in
Yeah.
that series with like some herbs and shit.
Yeah,
And when
that
I
was
saw
funny. I
that-
was just like, oh my god.
Dude, I saw that and I was like, "What the fuck? That's a thing? Like that's wild."
Feminist.
You know, like because I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and then Rox was like, "Yeah, dude, people do that." And I was like, "People do that? That's
Girls do
fucking
that?
that's a thing. That's crazy, you know." But like, it's obviously not that crazy
Yeah. They're
because they've been doing it for years.
yeah. I mean, in some ways, it's just like, you know, rejuvenating their youth in that sense. That's what I got from it. And, you know, some people believe in like some crazy shit that's like, oh, you'll feel like 20 years younger or some shit like that. Or you're re-energize your, you know, sexual energy in that sense and stuff. And I mean, I seen that shit in like today's modern culture, just like, oh, like some crazy juju type of shit. And that's like exactly how I just seen it. It's just like, oh, that's funny, but they're showing it in like that sense in their culture. It's just like, oh, that's funny. But, you know.
I think out of all of that whole night, the most interesting part was like how they talked about the kids.
Really?
Right? Like, I mean, like looking at that episode as a whole, like, yeah, you know, Bear's mom had this whole fling and everything like that, but it's kind of like, it's still kind of about the kids because they're all showing their different perspectives on the kids.
Yeah, you're right.
Too, you know?
Yeah. They also did mention about Cookie, who's
Yeah,
Laura's
and-
mom.
Yeah.
And then she was part of that flashback in the beginning of the episodes.
Now I feel like I'm starting to understand how she died on the motorcycle.
Yeah, she died in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Because she was a
And it
wild
was
one.
because and it was going kind of moving past it.
Yeah, let's
Now
go into that
going into
episode.
another episode of this series, which was "And the Plot Thickens."
Is that
Right.
what the episode's called?
The episode is called "The Plot Thickens" or something like that, I think. Am I right? Am I wrong? You tell me.
This is where the plot thickens.
Yeah, where
Oh,
the
you got
plot
close.
thickens. Starring none other than Officer Big Zane McClamon. McClamon. He kind of looks
And
like
honestly,
dude.
we haven't seen him. Well, we kind of get a glimpse of him in the Mabel episode, but this is the episode where it's like him. Like, this is just a whole big episode. Meaning the character, not, you know, it was a big episode. But yeah, it was a big episode in that context. Because it goes into like that whole journey. Well, it begins with him having to like tell like, you know, his whole patrol or, you know, that whole unit, that precinct, like, oh, I'm gonna get down to like finding Bigfoot and, you know, all this conspiracy theories and all this shit, and everyone just ridicules him. And at the end of the episodes, he got the biggest fucking conspiracy theory that was out there that came true, you know. But this whole episode was like a trip for him, like a journey in itself, and it was just like, it was spiritual, it was emotional, and it was like, it was wacky and just very like unorthodox in that sense. And, you know, it was just like an unlikely episode because it brings him and a guy that, you know, in those circumstances, he should have like, you know, arrested him for like, you know, drugging him. But instead, like, it becomes like a buddy episode in that sense. So, I mean, I think that's like the highlight of that episode. It's just like a very unlikely team up that came to it while they were tripping balls. So yeah, that was actually that whole episode in a nutshell, really. But
I feel like
it's fun.
Kenny Boy's character really does play a big part of this series because it's like all the native people are looking at him like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? But at the end of the day, he's like true to like what the episode's about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I do believe he is native, even though he's a white boy on the outside. Because if you think about it, if you think about it, like, you could be native and just have a different like look on your face. Like, if you would go back to like the Mabel episode, like, yeah, everyone in that room was native, but there was also like, you know, a black guy in there, like an African American, that, you know, he does have native in him and stuff, but they still consider him as his people. But as for like someone that was like Kenny Boy, like, I don't know what the percentage of him being like Native American was, but him having to like understand like nature and having like that spiritual sense, you kind of get a sense like, yeah, I think it's this people, but just like how everyone sees him on the outside, that's not his fault. But, you know, at the end of the day, he's still like that's still his people. You know, as weird as that looks, it's just he's part of that culture.
I mean, I feel like he's, in a way, obviously they always see that he's trying to overcompensate for being the white dude.
Yeah.
You know, but after that moment, in the second season when Alora, I mean the last episode, Alora gets her car back from Kenny Boy.
Yeah.
You know, she feels a responsibility to bring the car back and to pay it forward and like to make sure that Kenny Boy gets his piece out of it because she trusted her.
Yeah.
And, you know,
she could have taken it as like, oh, he's crazy, so I'm going to take advantage. But she didn't. You would think she would, but then she got that fault.
She bit the bullet.
Yeah.
She was trying to bite the bullet and like really trying to do what was right, you know, in that circumstance. Kind of moving through the episodes, I want to talk about Cheese, man. Cheese
ended
up getting caught up because of his uncle. Are we talking about cheese?
Yeah, I like the opening of that because they're just chilling in the front, listening to Cypress Hills, and all of a sudden the cops come. And I like when, literally, like they like smash open the fucking front door, and his response was, "The door was open the whole time."
That's what they do.
It's such a cheese
about the
savior
show.
thing.
It's
It's
the
just
show.
like the door was open the whole time. You don't have to do that. And then this one literally gets like trampled down. Well, not trampled down, but they take him down and just like arrest him right there and then.
Pardon
it's
me,
just
but
like,
the
oh,
door's
shit.
opening up on me. That's how the beer is making me feel.
What's going on? You gotta pee? You bastard. But I do like this episode because it's fucking funny, man. Because he literally gets sent to like a detention home or like some kind of home where, you know, they would take minors, and until like someone would want to like, you know, take guardianship or some shit, they would have to stay there. Or if they were to get like a steady job or whatnot, they will just let them be and live their life as depending on how stable their life is. Anyways, he gets like caught up in this place, and the whole place is run by none other than Mark Maron, his name is Gene in this episode, or you know, his name is Gene in this series, or that's his character's name. Anyways, sidetracked. Oof. He's basically, what we learned from him, he's basically like someone that got sober up, and in the past he's actually gone through like trials and tribulations, and you know, he's trying to go take the 12 steps of like recovery, and he's actually implementing that discipline onto his kids. So, and it's funny because Cheese doesn't even know what's going on, and they're having a whole group conversation, and he just like raises his hand. He's like, "What is this?" And this is the clip.
Yes. What is this? What is this? This is part of my recovery. When I was a young little shit ass like you guys, about your age, my life was in shambles. I was a drug addict. I was an abuser. I was a thief. There wasn't anything I didn't smoke or snort or drink or fuck even. And then I hit a wall. I hit my bottom. About 3 days into a bad bender, finally made my way back home. Walk into my house, and in my bedroom, I found my wife, 2 midgets, and a DJ. AM radio DJ. Pretty popular. I didn't like him even before he fucked my wife, but it doesn't matter. I just lost my mind. I literally lost my mind. I chased those midgets out of my house, naked midgets, running out into the street. And I went back in. I was going to kill that DJ. I was going to kill him with my own hands. But he was big. He just kicked my ass. I think he's still with my wife. It doesn't matter. Threw me out of my own house, and I just wandered into the woods. But that's where I met the Lakota medicine man, Walking Monty. Picked me up by the scruff, showed me the ways, changed my life. Very grateful. I'm a better man now. I'm even kind of friendly with one of the midgets. These things can happen when you're sober. Yeah. So that's my story. Why don't you start?
So yeah, that's his story. Which is actually a very perfect casting, considering that Mark Maron actually is sober. And, you know, he actually did have a crazy lifestyle when he was younger. So it's just like, he understood that character perfectly well.
Kind of capitalizing on it.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's just like, oh, good casting.
I mean, who's to say that shit didn't happen to him?
I mean, maybe half the things happened to him, just in a different way.
Who knows? It was fucking comedy, but who fucking knows?
Hey, he played it well.
That's what life is.
And it made it sound like just
well.
like him.
What were your first reactions to the living situation Cheese was confronting in that episode?
First of all, I was just like, holy shit. He really doesn't have anyone, really. which
kind of sad.
yeah, which is like that was my first thought, and you know,
Yeah.
and it was sweet because like he was trying to get a phone call, and the one phone call he did, it wasn't towards his end, it was like his grandma, and it's not even his real grandma, it was just like some lady that thought it was his grandma, but he's come to like care for her, and he just wanted to see if she was okay, you know.
Because of his goodwill, she pulled him out of that jail and kind of. Well, I also want to say that
think it was the
his
friends that
friends
did that.
kind of just like knew about the situation. They knew that she was older and she might be willing to like take care of him, and you know, just like kind of watch over him.
Yeah.
And if you notice that day that he comes back, they're all wearing the T-shirt, free cheese, you know, like free the homie, you know,
Yeah.
like try to get him in jail, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was
Very well
that's
played.
friendship, man. That's
Yeah.
friendship. You know, it was like
That's the
it's really
power of
trying to
love.
show people like what it was worth. It's giving that old school
Right.
fucking knock on the door of what friendship could be. I really feel like season 1 and season 2 really is compiling different stages of friendship through middle school, through high school, on the reservation, like things that could happen, things that, you know, go wrong. And that's the real shit about, you know, living on there. Obviously, I have no fucking experience living on the res. I've never lived on the res, but
No.
I'm glad that I was able to take a peek and look into something that kind of, I'm not going to say it fully represents it, but it does kind of in its way artistically represent a culture that we're not accustomed to, and that's what I feel is really important, and what we should take out of Reservation Dogs is like that shit is like not that culture is not attainable to a lot of different people,
Yeah.
you know. And being in North America, like we're literally at the fucking grounds of where real shit started happening, whether it be the fucking gold rush, whether it be fucking massacres, because it's true, there was fucking massacres, man.
Oh, California
there was
in
fucking
general?
massacres on both fucking sides,
Yeah.
you know. And it really just shows the difference between what we were doing before then and stuff like that, and what we're doing now. And it kind of just really like shows that they're putting natives in a box. They're trying to put them in a box in a way.
In a box. I don't know if you
know-
want to say that, but
Well, no, I will say that because that's what the whole point of
I
the,
would say
the show is.
they're being put in the forefront.
Well, they are being put in the forefront, but what they're putting on the forefront is that the fact that they're kind of being excluded from the rest of the economy and the rest of the United States.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
isn't right.
Yeah, it
You know
isn't
what I'm
right.
saying? Like that's what I'm saying is like we're really in this world where we can accept the fact that ancestors that were Native American were able to cultivate the land. We're able to like do shaman ceremonies. We're able to like really see what was around back in the day without phones, without, you know, any type of technology, and really just feel the area. If you're on vibes, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're not, I get how this could kind of sound crazy, but look,
You're sounding crazy
the
to
point
me
is,
already.
for me is this is like it really just started to show that there's something under the cover, there's something underneath our culture that we have longed to realize, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things to really consider and realize that, you know, underneath this American culture that we built upon, there was another culture that was there before us. And we sort of just pushed this, well, the government pushed it aside. But I mean, amongst us people, there are like native people that are like partial natives, and you know, we just kind of, some of them don't even celebrate that culture. Some of it is just like, oh, it's just, you know, dissipated or evaporated from like almost existence. But you know, the people who are still keeping that culture alive, like, good for them, because now we're seeing shows that actually show a glimpse of that. And again, you know, we're panning this show a lot for what it's doing, and you know, we're gonna continue doing this for the rest of the episode. But you know, it deserves it, really, and it's cool.
I mean, let me tell you something. Like, I started watching Reservation Dogs. I heard about the director, and I heard about the cast and kind of what they were trying to do even before it came out. And I heard Reservation Dogs. I was like, that sounds really close to Reservoir Dogs. Like, that's kind of weird.
It's a play on words. Yeah.
Taika Waititi. I was like, oh shit! Like,
Okay.
Waitiki's got his own like production.
He has his own shit going
the
on.
show now.
Yeah.
That's his own shit now. So he's branding himself, and like, it's becoming a whole thing. You know, so like, he's kind of doing the George Lucas thing.
I want to say
Right?
George Lucas thing.
Yeah, he's doing the
No,
George
because
Lucas
he's
thing.
working under like Disney, and that's not his own.
Exactly,
So
but he's
George
still
Lucas
able
made
to,
his own things.
If he's still able to put his brand out and put his like own animation,
I think
that
he's
means
putting
that
his
they're-
own name out. That's what it is.
Exactly. But that's how Star Wars started. Like, that's how that. Even though, like, I get it. You give me the high eyebrow because
Can I go into my
George
news
Lucas
here?
is basically he is what he was in that moment of time is
You're
he
losing me.
was tying in to sci-fi. Waitika is kind of what is it? Sergio, correct me. Waitiki? What is it?
I don't even know. I think you're like combining his first name and his last name. It's Taika Waititi. You say
Waitika's kinda
Taiwiki.
cool, though.
You say like Taiwiki
we
or some
coined
shit.
that. We coined that.
Taiwiki. Hashtag Taiwiki.
Taiwiki. No, but for real.
You know what?
though,
I think we should do
this
that.
This dude he's really trying to push another level of entertainment. He's
Yeah.
trying to include people. He's trying to make it
He's showing exposure to like
acceptable.
other
Not only
cultures.
acceptable, but he's making it in a way where people are actually like confronting shit. You know?
Yeah.
Like, they're confronting feelings, they're confronting facts, they're confronting the actual story that's along the lines of, you know? Because we've all felt that we want to get away. Let's be honest here, you
Yeah,
know?
we always want to get away. Speaking of
We've
that,
always felt that. And that's why I'm drinking extended getaway right there.
oh
you
yeah,
know?
another side cup. I'm gonna open my
Sometimes
second
it just be
case.
getaway.
This is called. I'm trying to get the lighting right, but this is called Pacific Magic because
Beautiful.
at the end of it, they reached the Pacific Ocean for the first time, and it's magic. It's their revelation of the episode, and their archives could be completed. We're not ending the episode. This is just the reason why I picked this beer.
Are we scrolling through, or are we going to the new episodes?
This is
The
from
newer
North Coast
episodes of
Brewing
season
Company.
2? Because when we're coming towards the end, we do have to talk about the last episode. and, like, what
IPA.
they.
There's no description on this, but it is a
But it's Mother
6.8.
Earth Brewing Co.
No, it's North Coast.
North Coast. Okay.
North Coast.
Similar font.
Is it?
Yeah. I know my
Look
fonts.
at that. Look at that.
That's a
It looks like a lager.
good one.
Yeah.
What's
so
it called again?
This is called Pacific Magic. I don't know why the hell's. There it is. Yeah. Super golden. It looks like a lager. A golden ale in some sense. It's actually way lighter than you see it on the camera, but it's pretty golden, amberish. It's cool.
I can tell it's almost reddish in the camera. You know,
Yeah, it does
it's
look
got
like
that
it's a little
amber touch,
caramelized.
caramel touch.
Yeah, it does look like that, but it's not. It's
How's it
actually-
taste? Give a good swig. Come on.
Hold on.
For all the aunties out there,
These out there.
take a big swig for all the aunties. You gotta take a big
Eilish.
swig now.
This is definitely an L. This is an IPA. I feel like it's more of a pale ale than anything. It does have that bitterness in that sense, but it's just not. I don't know. Maybe I'm like. I tasted a lot of hazy IPAs and in double IPAs that I just forgot how IPAs taste in general. No, that's not true. It does taste like a
Not
pale ale.
true. I mean,
it doesn't taste like an
look
IPA.
it. I mean, you
traditionally.
poured it in the glass and it's not an IPA flavor. But what
Yeah.
percentage is
It's
your last
6.8.
one? What
Last
was your
one
last
was
percentage?
Like a 6 or something. It was like
6 or something. Come on, be exact.
this one was 6.7. This one's like a little lower. I think this is a 6. Yeah, no, it's about the same, 6.8. So this is a little bit higher for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just 1% more.
Just one,
a little bit
like
more.
a 0.1% higher. Which is,
How
you know,
fucking
same type
wonderful.
of buzz.
Well, cheers. What comes to my brain right now
What?
is Bear's transition from being a slacker to being a fucking hardworking dude in the construction biz. Like, kind of like...
Yeah. I see it
Transition
more of
into
a
that.
like a little kid actually becoming like a man. Cause
I mean, that's what it's
a part
about.
of it, yeah. Cause a part of it after season 1, in season 1 he was naive, but by the time like a couple of things happened in that first season. First, his dad didn't come through, and it was the many times that he didn't come through, and he says like what's the whole point of just like me having to look up to this guy if this guy doesn't want to like bother with me? And 2, Alora was gonna leave him, or Alora left him, thinking like, oh, like we were always
Thinking
gonna be
this was a better choice. You're
the
gonna
better
be
choice, yeah. And then
down.
she just said like, oh, like bro, you're just here with your daddy issues and all this shit. So it's just like, he kind of felt betrayed in that sense. So that Navate just like kind of fell off, and he's just like really thinking about himself, looking inwards and saying like, there's got to be more to this than just like all this shit that has happened to me,
I mean, pulling back and pulling into the season of 2, I gotta say, like, once they got into the realm, once they went at the end of the season, they went to Cali. The first stop was a Mexican restaurant. And they kind of said to the worker, like,
you're going on
hey,
the last
like,
episode, bro.
what's the
I know
restaurant?
I know that restaurant though. That's on Venice.
Yeah.
It's
so
on
they kind of
Lincoln.
told that restaurant, like,
Yeah.
hey, like, we just got
see
into
that.
town. We're super hungry, blah, blah, blah. They end
Yeah.
up losing their car. And
I don't know how, because there was a big ass window right behind him, so any one of them could see that shit.
And the Jesus saw what was going on. It was like,
That
oh,
Jesus.
sorry.
That's typical
All of a
Jesus.
sudden, the Jesus is also gone after the fact that the police pulled in.
Yeah, after the bust and that.
After the bust, which doesn't happen in LA, bro. Like, it may happen once in a while, but it don't happen like that.
Yeah.
Because I be going down there every now and
Honestly,
then. I know.
I just did not
for
trust
a
out
fact
Jesus.
that shit has stayed the same. Like, that fucking situation is a fucking sake.
Yeah.
Golden Craft Cast fact. GCCF. Golden Craft Cast.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Honestly, I didn't trust that Jesus, because
Exactly. but
they
that
said
was
like, oh,
the
let's
whole
go to the
point.
beach, and they ended up in downtown. And then he asked them again, like, oh, where's the beach? And he's like, it's that way. And they followed the direction that way. And they were like in fucking like South Central, and I was just like,
And
oh,
the
dude,
only
they
one
shouldn't
that
lie.
had
But then,
if
like, you heard
think
the
about it, only
ocean,
one-
and he was
hold on.
right.
Hold on. But the only person that was like second guessing it was Alora, because she's already been down that fucking trail,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
So she was like, "What the fuck? Like, we're just gonna follow this guy?" And they were like, "Yeah, we're following White Jesus." Like, they didn't know any better, so they just like went through it, you know. But they ended up talking about, you know, like fucking, you know, all kinds of different shit. Cheese like showed his appreciation and just like talked about kind of where he comes from, and he's more of, out of everybody, he seems like the more literary dude. He seems like he's the one that's more cultured and more kind of reminiscent of things of the past, and
I think he's just like very respectful and endearing of all cultures too.
He really touches the heart of a lot of artists. You know what I'm saying? Like, me as a fucking artist, like, I like to see that he took notice of somebody, like, towards the end. He's like, oh no, he was a saxophonist towards the end, but like, he's like, oh yeah, you know, Bear had me watch that movie, blah blah blah.
No,
you know,
Daniel had me watch that movie.
And you're right. Daniel had me watch that movie, and like, she was kind of reminiscing on the fact that
they both watched the same movie.
They both watched the same movie, and they knew, like, he knew something extra, and she was like, "Oh, okay." Even though, but she didn't fucking like say like, "Hey, you're a big fucking nerd for knowing this."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she accepted him for that fact. She was like, "Okay, that's actually cool that you know that." You know, she was kind of like caught off guard, like, didn't know how to respond, but cool about it.
Yeah, because they know it's like Cheese. He's just very endearing and stuff. You know how he is, and he's very like, he's very respectful of just not his own culture, but the culture around him. Because going back to the episode where he was at that home, he said his pronouns, like he said he, him. And then everyone was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And everyone's just like ignorant about that shit. And he's just like, you know, doing his own thing. And they even like made a comment about like, hey man, like, why do you talk like that? It's like, how? Like, I don't know, like, there was some like pretty white girl from like her IGs is about like hers. Like, no, he said like, why do you sound like an IG influence model or some shit? And I was like, I don't know, it's just the way that I sound. It's just the way that I speak. It's just like, he's just very appropriate and just very well spoken in that sense. And everyone around him is just like, you know, they're deep embedded into their own culture and the way they talk and the way they do things, that anything different than that is just like weird to them. You know?
Dude, I think it's so fucking cool because now they're kind of creating a culture within that series where it's like, Cheese is the cultured guy and he knows what's going on and he can kind of create film. Like, that's where I feel like the next series is going to kind of go, is like, oh, well, I'm going to start creating, you know, my own, you know, videos and stuff like that. Like, that's where I feel like it could go, you know? Where he could kind of film his own thing and just not give, and like have them be a part of it. And like, that's what I'm seeing, is like Cheese might be the main squeeze of the next series, of the next season.
Oh, he might have a bigger spotlight than this.
Exactly.
Previous. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay. I really do feel like his character, he kind of, man, it's really hard to put the finger on it because he did say a lot of stuff that was very interesting in the narrative of the whole story. You know, like, he didn't know what to say in some points, but they told him, hey, just like, you know, I keep thinking of Wilhelmina. That's her name. That's
Willie Jax.
Willie Jack.
Yeah, her real name is Wilhelmina.
I saw that and I was like, "What?"
Wilhelmina Jack.
Now we know.
Yeah, I was surprised.
So,
I was like, "Oh shit!"
When she said to Cheese, it was like, "Just keep going, just keep going."
Yeah.
Like, she didn't give a fuck. That was kind of like the
just say your truth,
of like,
in that sense.
Say your truth, and like, dude, I gotta say, man, I did shed a fucking tear when I saw that. It was beautiful, man. I've
Yeah.
been following this Reservation Dogs since before it was even online, and before it was streaming, and like I knew that it was coming, but I didn't know what it was gonna be capable of. And seeing all of this and seeing all the culture and like just the mourning of a friend in the way that they did it was just beautiful, man. It was just really kind of closing a door, I think, on a lot of people's trauma. You know, if you followed up with that series and you saw how kind of they dealt with that and dealt with the tragedy of their friend, it's like you were with them, you were kind of part of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it was just like, I shed a tear, bro. I did.
Me too. At the end, I was like, oh, damn.
But only one.
I did 3. I'm more sensitive.
It was for Daniel.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Because when they had the hug with all like Daniel
Yeah.
and all of them, and they were all,
I love you,
I was
bitch.
like, dude, that's
I
too
love you,
much.
bitch. I love you,
Dude,
bitch.
that's too. It was like, that's too much. But it was like, it was powerful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They like used terminology of today for a cause that was like, it made you feel connected to space
Yeah.
and time. You know?
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, man. I do not regret shedding a tear to that finale because it was fucking beautiful. It was like, this is why I watch. This is why I watch television and movies and stuff like that, because it does teach you something. It's supposed to teach you cultures. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like my favorite thing when I was growing up, Sergio, was Discovery Channel. Fucking, you know, this is how it's made, fucking, you know,
Like to see
Shark
animals
Week.
hump each other.
Like, I
Know that.
like to watch the history stuff, you know, and like that was through the 90s growing up and all that shit. But now they're making series about the actual culture that surrounds it. And that's what to me speaks the most.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an exposure. It's a lot of things. It's really teaching people how it is at a time where, like, now than more than ever, a lot of cultures are being exposed. I mean, not just what we're seeing in Reservation Dogs, but also, like, you know, Asian cultures. Like, you know, you get to see like movies like Crazy Rich Asians that explores like that side of Asian culture. You got Mexican Americans now having their own little series and, you know, having to show that culture. And, you know, down to like there was another one that I thought just like, you know, different things that you wouldn't expect, and things that, you know, like in 50 years you wouldn't imagine, like, oh, a cast of all Native Americans, or a cast of all Mexicans, or a cast of, like, you know, all diverse, you know, like different diverse people, you know. And like it's I'm glad that it's like being like that, you know, because like a lot of people are saying, like, you know, Hollywood is just all white powerful men with white pretty people, but it's just like, you know, America isn't just that. It's full of like people from all over the world coming together for like a better opportunity. And, you know, while they're living in this opportunity, their own culture is very much embedded in America too. So it's like, you know, that's why we got districts like, you know, we got Chinatown, you got Japantown, you know, you have your Spanish spots, you got your Mexican spots, you know, where like the Posteria is at.
The Vietnamese town.
And all that. And, you know, yeah, all the places like Koreatown and Vietnamese, and of course, little Armenia or little China, or, you
Basically
know, wherever the fuck.
explaining Eastern countries.
Yeah, like it's just places from different cultures. It's just like, oh, this is their spot, you know. Everyone that's like from that country comes to this one spot, or, you know, makes it a spot better in America, because, you know, America's, you know, it's a land of like of opportunity. I don't want to say that in cliche, but it's a land where all the immigrants come to appreciate it for its freedom and stuff, where they come from places where it's just like always in turmoil or, you know, not in the best shape, and they just come here. But I mean, we're talking about this show where it's like they're not necessarily immigrants, but you kind of are seeing them as immigrants in that sense, and it's just like weird to see that in that sense, because you do have like people that speak the native tongue but don't necessarily speak English, where English is like the primary language of this country. But it's just like, well, I was here first, but we spoke a different language, and English wasn't
Now I'm depressed.
one of them.
Jesus words.
You know, so it's like kind of interesting. And that's one of the things I heard in an interview, that the lady that was interviewing the creator, she kind of saw it in that sense, like, oh, well, did you ever see like Native Americans just like as immigrants in that sense? Because, you know, there's a couple of them that just like, they don't speak the language, but somehow they just like, it almost seems like they're foreign. And, you know, and then he was just saying this whole story about his grandmother, where she spoke nothing but the language, the native tongue. But in order for her to have a better opportunity, they had to speak English and stuff. So it's like, you know, that's how this country is, really, in that sense. So it's like, you know, similar to like being an immigrant.
Real shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that. You know, we've seen that in our own lives, and like I said, man, it's really just a fucking window into all of that culture, and not to say like all of that culture, but like it's a window into some of that culture that we can acknowledge now and see, like, dude, there's shit to be talked about here.
Yeah.
Like there's confrontations right here, man. Like,
yeah,
we need to know what the fuck is going on as people living in this situation that we are now, and like seeing all these other people that are also living like literally miles away from us, but are not capable of the same, you know, qualities of life that we are.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the important part.
Yeah, which makes another point, because they also talk about like within that culture, there's also people that, you know, not necessarily that they're the same nation in that Indian culture, but they're still Native American, but they've come from a different nation, and it's those. And I'm talking about those people that, you know, they're Native American, but they're living in like bigger cities where it's not, they never lived like in a reservation per se, but they root into their ancestry, but it just sounds like kind of almost foreign to them, you know. And that's one of the episodes that we're talking about. What's up?
No, but I'm saying, what does that mean?
They're making a commentary about like how the episode I'm talking about is the one with Amber Midthunder, where she's actually a girl that's like,
one with the where they're doing like the youth.
Yeah, they're doing
right?
youth activities, and then at the end of it, they get like free. They get like free Sonics or some shit.
Dude, that is such a good episode to cover, because, dude, that was the episode that Willie Jack dropped Jackie.
Yeah.
I gotta say, that was kind of weak, though.
No, yeah.
No, because Jackie was kind of like, watch your back. And Willie Jack was like, oh, shit. I wanted to see a fight, man. I did want to kind of see a fight too.
Yeah, it's funny because it's just like, oh, like they had this beef before, and then, you know, when she like pretty much like insults her at the most worst way possible, it's like, oh, well, her brother's dead. And then, you know, Willie Jack's part is just like, oh, well, she also lost a brother, or, you know, a cousin. She lost Daniel in that sense. So it's just like she kind of feels like the same way, but when she tries to apologize, it's just like
it's
you
a
better watch your back.
similar emotion,
And it's just like more of a
group.
beef, yeah. But then like in
Yeah,
the next
no, it
episode,
is.
they kind of drop it. So I think that was kind of weird.
And I don't feel like they actually did drop it. It was just more uncomfortable than they wanted.
Yeah.
So that's why they kind of dropped it. But
I think they just passed it over because that's realistic.
Kind of related.
Huh?
They're kind of related in some way. Like Daniel, I think, was related to Jackie or something.
Maybe, but I know for a fact. Like
nurse,
Willie Jack was
the nurse was like, "Oh yeah, I got the sneeze, blah 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 blah," and like,
yeah, that was Jackie.
they're kind of related, right? There's like something going on. There's something going on there, bro. There's
I
something.
don't know. You never know because like what we learned
think
from
that's
this
the whole
series, what
beautiful
we learned
part
from
about
this
it.
community is that any one of them is actually related to one another in one way or another. It's just like they could be cousins, but they could also be like second cousins. They're like a degree away from actually being blood related, but they're all like at the end of the day, they're all family in that sense. It's weird, but it's like what? Okay, now I heard you. Sorry, you kind of muted for a minute.
Yeah, sorry, I was really loud. And I'm gonna go take a wee.
Oh God.
Peace out.
No.
I just gotta say though that this fucking IPA right now makes you take a wee.
And that, kids, is why you don't drink that much. I'm just kidding. It's all good. Here at Golden Craft Cast. Freaking. Yeah, and, well, one of the things that we actually learned from the first season is that in some sense, like, this kids could actually be related to one another. Because they do have, like, a lot of references where it's like, oh, well, he's my uncle's cousin's niece, some shit like that. And it's pretty ambiguous. Even in the episode, second to last episode, where Willie Jack visits her family member, she actually says like, okay, well, at the end of it, she's like, okay, bye, granddaughter, niece, whatever the fuck, and it becomes ambiguous. Like, you don't even know how is she even related to Willie Jack in that first place? But it's just like, oh, Jesus. What the hell's going on? Sorry, we're still going. But I don't know, that's just fucking weird. It's happened again. It's okay, we'll keep rolling. Sorry.
Dude, what the hell?
It happened again.
Dude, you need to ask your landlord to give you a fucking Ethernet
No,
cable.
it doesn't have to do nothing with the Wi-Fi. I think it's my computer itself.
No, fuck that. If you're hardwired...
No, let's not do this right now. Let's just keep going, and then we'll argue about that shit later.
We don't have to argue. I'm right.
Shut the fuck up. You're never right. Anyways.
I'm fucking... dude, technology is my fucking job.
Come on. Let's go.
All right, where do we leave off on?
Willie Jack. The whole thing
Willie
with
Jack
the Jackie.
dropping Jackie?
Yeah. That was kind of fucked up.
Exactly where?
I mean, I was just making a commentary about like how any one of them is like a degree away from like being related to one another in that sense.
Okay,
It's
let's
crazy.
finish it up. Dude, that's kind of bad to say. You realize that, right?
What?
We can't just say that. We can't just say all fucking Indians and natives are related to each other.
I didn't say that. I said the kids could be
Okay,
related
well, I'll
to
clear
one.
it up right now. I'll clear it up. All right.
I think you took that the wrong way.
Tell me when.
No.
Not to say that all natives and, residential peoples of North America are connected, but what it tried to show is the connectivity.
By the way, what's the percentage on that beer that you guys drank?
7.
Oh no, we're getting Anders. Okay, focus. We're almost through. Not
They
to
don't
say that
know.
they're all
They're
related,
the real Anders.
but
It's not even Anders.
it's Anders Mark II. Oh shit! No.
No, check this out. So I'm going back to the fucking series because that's what we're here for. Is
We've been talking
the
about the
fact that
series.
yes, it did show a glimpse here and there of what it was like in that culture, but you have to realize, like, this has never been done before.
Where
They
are we going
have
with this?
never said, like, oh shit, we're crossing this line. You know, because there was never any lines crossed about this. It's kind of digging deep into the culture of Native Americans, of Native peoples on the reservation, and it's not holding back, which I think is an important part for us as Americans that are on the outside, you know, fucking California, you know, everything outside of the middle fucking ground of America, to see, like, dude, this is actually how people fucking live within our own country, within our own states, even, you know? It's interesting to know that, you know?
Yeah.
And if you can do something to help, fucking, you know, do it. But, like, you don't have to do it in a weird ass way.
What's
You know,
a weird
you don't
ass
have
way?
to do it in a, you know, you don't
I
have to
don't
do it
know.
like that one dude, Kenny Jack. Right?
I think Kenny Jack is just part of that community. I don't think he's like trying to help.
He's
He was
digging
just like-
deep. He's deep
Yeah,
in
he's
it.
just deep in it. He's not like being a fucking scumbag about it. He's just
You
he
know
just
what's
happens to
crazy?
be a part of it.
Is they kind of made the series to show that he is willing to pull out all the stops of the culture and kind of really portray it. Kind of just saying, like, oh, this might blah, 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 blah. And, like,
What?
trying to, like, connect it and, like, be, like, more of a native than the natives are. And I think that's the gimmick.
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
also showing, like,
He's
a fact of-
overcompensating it.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's what
for him
I
being
said
white.
earlier. But
Yeah.
he's like kind of the gimmicky guy where he's kind of just like, oh, he's the white boy, but he doesn't really know anything. But he actually knows a lot more than the other natives are willing to portray.
Yeah,
Which is kind of interesting.
it
You
is
know?
interesting.
I'm not saying he's the fucking dude to look at the whole series. It's
I
like
think it's
all
because
of
he
their
takes a lot of
experiences.
psychedelics, especially a lot of a lot of shrooms.
Well, when the going
You know?
back to when the plot gets thick, right? When the plot gets thicker or whatever.
This is where the plot
They
thickens.
go and they fucking find all these fucking weirdos fucking fish.
Mm-hmm.
And what's up with that, dude? Like, we didn't need to see that.
I think it's proving that, you know, he's better than the superior white people because there's nothing superior about him. He's just the guy that's grounded and very in tune with nature. That he doesn't even connect to the part where it's like, oh, well, here's the hierarchy of like white people that are like, you know, conspiracing in the woods and, you know,
Yeah.
going back into like the conspiracy theory episode where it's like, you know, they're making fun of Bohemian Grove in that sense. And it's funny because, like, you know,
We did a podcast on
yeah, Big is such a big conspiracy guy that he knows about it. And then, you know, him having to not really Kenny Boy not knowing too much about it. He's just like, I don't know what this is about, but I don't like it. So
Right.
that's where he fucking teams up with them and says, like, you know, let's just take this fucking assholes down because they're fucking fish. And to me, that's just weird. That shit is weird. That's where he draws the line.
You bunch of fish fuckers. What time is it on the podcast right now?
Yeah. Is it really appropriate to ask?
Yes.
It's close to the end. Let's just say that.
Well, closing it up on a bunch of fish fuckers, we know that his whole demeanor and his whole kind of line of story of, you know, him being a cop, him walking in, and sing, and Cookie dying in front of him, like he feels responsible with that.
Yeah, that really it was a
feels
trip
responsible.
because it went back to that.
And it was also a callback to how he's treating the kids. Right? Because he's being really tender with them. He's being really kind of fragile with them. Kind of just being like, I could have been this hard ass, but I'm not. Like, kind of showing that presence with them and kind of being
He wants to
their
be more
ear.
of a guardian to them than to be like a cruel authority figure.
Because of Cookie.
Yeah. Because he doesn't want... In some sense, he wishes he would have been harder on Cookie.
If anything, it shows that he's kind of the spirit guide in the real realm for those fuckers.
Shit asses.
You know? For the shit asses.
Yeah.
You know? So it's kind of like he kind of understands, you know, like he's got to put it in the past of what happened to Cookie, but at the same time, that's what's really been driving him first season and to now to really protecting the kids that he's seen because he knows who they're connected to.
Yeah, and he looks after them. I mean, that episode with Cheese having to be in a home, he was the one that took him out because the kids went to him. He probably went to him first and said like, okay, well, here's the deal. Like, he can't get out unless he has a guardian, but it so happens that Cheese has this grandma that's willing to be his guardian. So, I mean, if the whole process works, can you help us out? And he's all like, yeah, sure, why not? And when he goes in there, he gets shit talked to. They talk shit to him in that sense, but
they talk shit to him the whole time, but like that doesn't faze him, and he's kind of just like being there for the moment and being there for what he's meant for, and it's like
doing the right thing.
Damn, I mean, just in a series to see a switch from a character of like the whole episode's about this one character, switching over to everybody's fucking dogging on this character.
Yeah, he's the butt of the joke.
Fucking switch.
Yeah. Like, he's the butt of the joke, but at the end of it, he's a really good guy. He really is a hero, you know?
It's interesting to see that dynamic, and maybe some people have felt that, you know?
Yeah.
Not my fucking experience. Buffalo cops are shitty.
Norwalk cops
That's
are
where
shitty.
I grew up. Fucking Buffalo. Fucking fuck them,
San Francisco cops are shittier.
Fucking weirdos.
Really shitty.
Fucking weirdos.
I think
more weird.
I think they've just gone shittier after like the defund the police, because of course they don't even have money anymore.
They just don't want to deal with it. They're just like this. Like all my friends got laid off. It's over. You know, like
I'm not getting support. I don't get paid enough. I'm just
everybody's breaking into each other's cars.
Exactly.
Nobody's listening to lock your stuff in the trunk.
Yeah.
You know, and even if they do, they fucking break in the driver's window to open the trunk.
So sad.
That'd be a smart thing to do.
I know. It's okay, because I had this whole talk with my friend about it. He's like, no. Yeah, it's because they defunded the police. That's why they don't care. But, I mean, either defunded or not getting paid enough. Big is actually a pretty good guy for being a cop. Just saying.
I mean, from this series, we get a different story of police.
Yeah,
which is
we do.
Refreshing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You get the good cop side of it, even if they're not perfect about it.
That's the weird part about the whole episode is he's trying to be the cop. He's trying to be the main dude. He's trying to be fucking Walker, Texas Ranger, fucking trying to kick ass. And at the end of the day,
he got high.
Yeah, no, but like...
No, you're right, because he went in there as a big man.
He dug out the weird-ass shit that he was looking forward to in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, dude, there's a bunch of weird shit happening. I don't know what's going on. And he sees maybe the core of all of that's going on. And that's why I feel like it was just easier for them to kind of go... Because he realized at that point when he was high, he was like, dude, this is what I've been talking about. These fucking fish fuckers over here. You know?
Yeah. it's
It's
exposing,
crazy, man. But it's a
exposing-
really good series overall.
Well, it's funny because it's exposing things that everyone wouldn't have thought to see it as truth, but at the end of the day, there are weird things and there are people breaking the law, and he did his job. And he was the butt of, like I said at the beginning, he was the butt of the joke, but at the end of it, he was the fucking hero of the episode. And he doesn't feel that way because he let one person die under his watch, but I think he became a better person in that sense, and that's what made him
I feel that moment is also a juxtaposition to what the kids feel, right?
Yeah.
It's trying to compare those two kinds of things in a way within the series, because it's like it's the feeling of responsibility over somebody's death, and which is really not talked about in mainstream entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's
Don't get teary on me.
no, I'm not. I don't know. It's just
okay if you do.
Okay, I'm not gonna admit it. Sometimes you just have to cry about your ancestors. That's just what you do. Just
Sometimes you gotta meet your ancestors.
Ancestors. Ooh,
Meet me now.
maybe no. This is weird.
Who knows, man?
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about, or?
Dude, honestly, I really feel like this whole experience of Reservation Dogs has been like a good sweet peek into that culture, and like I also feel like I can't look at that culture and what I've seen and say like that's the legit way things go about. It's just kind of like a taste of what really does go on. It's not real because I know that because they met white Jesus and they went to that bum town and the cops came through. Let me tell you, no fucking cops come through late at night like that.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
They patrol around,
Like,
but that's about it.
They let them do their fucking thing.
Yeah, they just patrol
That's
around and just
bullshit.
like light a fucking light on someone and say like, hey, and just like fucking harass them for like a couple minutes and then just like drive off. It's just like, okay, what the fuck? Like, it was the most pointless shit. That's how cops are. It's just like they act like they're doing the job, but it's like you're just being a fucking idiot. You're just being fucking punks, really.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. But yeah, I mean, any final say? It seems like that was your final say.
I mean, I really do appreciate how Cheese is kind of becoming the nostalgic one out of the group.
Yeah.
That's kind of had her time and she's kind of the wiser one. But I really felt like Jackie should have also been on that trip, even though she wasn't part of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really feel like Jackie should have been like part of that.
No,
because she did attempt to go with Allura.
No, I think it was just out of respect because it was a journey that they found in the letter, and they said like, "This is a journey you guys have to have between the four of you guys that, were the friends of Daniel's."
Stolen, man.
Yeah,
and the white Jesus comes through, and they follow the white Jesus, and
I thought they were gonna go on the wrong
but that's
side.
what I'm saying is like all of that shit, the cops coming through everything, and they kept walking, and they finally.
Why do you keep talking about that scene? Shut up.
It was the hero's journey from the beginning of season 1, and they extended to season 2. You know what I'm saying? And then also you get Barry at the end saying, "I'm not going back."
I understand why, but like, I also thought like, that's kind of like Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not gonna fucking go. What? I'm not fucking going.
I don't think it was Wolf of Wall Street. I think it was more.
That was a joke. But yeah.
Well, I mean, like for me, it felt like he was fed up with it. He was fed up with the reservation and like going through all that shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, I see this is here, and even though I might not be capable of doing it, like I'm gonna step forward.
I think in the first season, he had that hesitation, but now that he's out, he's just like, Daniel led us to this, and I could see why.
Yeah.
So I think
And
Yeah.
this yeah, no,
Might as
I'm
well be
serious.
out right
and
now.
like the third season will probably start with, I think Willie kind of talking
Yeah.
him out of it, saying like, hey, let's go back. Like, but
I think
if you
Willie
think
Jack
about it,
has someone out there too in
if
LA.
you think about it, like
'Cause they were setting that up.
Willie Jack, her father wasn't in any of the shots this second season.
Who's their dad?
Her dad was not in there, dude.
I don't think anyone's
I think
dad
her
was
dad
in
might
there.
have only been in the shot where it was a funeral. But other than that, like, she was not as, before in the last season,
Mm-hmm.
you could see Willie Jack's dad kind of being a more part of her life. But in this season, it was more of like she was the one that was kind of holding the reins on her friendship with everybody.
Right. Because after she went to go see her relative in jail, she was just like, pretty much venting out and also wanting to find guidance.
Yeah.
And having to see like, I kind of see like my friends kind of like drifting apart. And it's not like they're growing apart; they're drifting apart. There's a big difference. And she knew like she could fix it, so he's just like trying to find
that
it.
was her sister in the jail.
It was implied that it was her sister, but at the end of it, when she goes back, she says, "All right, bye, granddaughter, niece, whatever the fuck." She literally says all those things, so it's like ambiguous, which is why I'm saying like these kids could one way or another be related to one another, but it's ambiguous because you just don't really know. It's just like, I don't know, it's like a small community in that sense. But I mean, at the end of it, you do get that sense that they're all family,
Yeah,
It's a beautiful thing.
Definitely there. The whole culture of, like, I'm gonna watch your back is there.
Exactly.
And that's very similar to Hispanic culture.
I think it's similar to every culture. Every culture is very family oriented. Almost every culture is family oriented.
I mean, that's where we draw the line here, and that's where we're connecting the dots on
Yeah.
fucking Golden Crabcast. That's what we do
Here we are.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's all I gotta say.
If you
I kinda said that.
fucking listen through all of this, fucking thank you. We
Thank you.
really appreciate that you listen to our rants about all
Love
this
to.
stuff. You probably have your own opinions.
Yes.
That's totally great. You should honestly just actually tell us about what your opinion is on our Instagram, Golden Craftcast, when we post this out on our page.
Yeah.
This is episode number 68.
96.
96.
I believe so.
96, bro. We're getting there. All
That's
right, so just saying it, man. We really want to hear opinions from other people, and we enjoy them because, all of, like we said, love is love, bro. We're fucking all coming together for all this shit, and putting
universal.
ideas together and talking about this kind of stuff is what's gonna really make it happen. So we're proud to be cultivators of that vibe as Golden Craftcast with a fucking great pair of beers here from Pizza Port Brewing Company, as well as
I got both Elysian and North Coast Brewing Company, so shout out to them. Shout out to every brewing company that we had their beers. Make excellent beers, and we're looking for to what you have coming or what we pick up. So here's to us. Anything else?
I would like to talk about our next month, because it's basically fucking all Oktoberfest, so we're all gonna do fucking scary beers, Oktoberfest beers, which is usually
They're not all
held
scary
in the summer,
episodes.
okay?
Yeah.
But we are gonna cover some great fucking things, so I hope you join us on that. We're gonna have some dope guests, and to fucking love chicken grease. It's going down.
It's going down. All right, let's hit it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Waititi, for fucking making this kind of series for us to talk about, because that's just dope.
Sorry, Taika Waititi.
Waitiki.
We're gonna hashtag it, I'm sure.
We might work together one day. Who knows?
Maybe. All
Peace
right.
out, y'all.
This has been a good one.
Thanks for listening to this.
Thank you for listening. Woo! Laters.
Love it.